Hey. Ugh. Well, we're here again. This is different because I've never like recorded a video. I usually do these live streams, so this is a little different for me. But let's see how it goes. At least the nice thing is I can edit it if I mess up. Okay. With that said, let's talk about what to expect for the AP exam. So on May 11th, you're going to have the mechanics test and the E&M test. Mechanics is going to be at 12 p.m. And if you scroll down on this, the E&M is going to be at 2 p.m. Okay? Now, how are you going to get ready for this test? So 2 days before the actual exam, College Board is going to send you an email with your AP ID and an e-ticket. So you're going to need both those to access your exam. Once you have those, keep them, because on the day of the test, what you're going to do is 30 minutes before the test starts, you're going to sign in to your AP account, whatever it is. It gives you the instructions. And this is all 30 minutes before the exam. And you'll put in your AP ID and the e-ticket number. As soon as you do that, you're just going to wait until this little timer tells you can take the test. So when the timer hits zeros, you can take the test. What you're going to see on the test. So this PDF that you're looking at, hopefully, will explain everything, but let's just go through it anyways. So you're going to have two questions. Question one is 25 minutes, and question two is 15 minutes. In reality, you're going to get 30 minutes and 20 minutes, but you get 5 minutes to submit. So you really only have 25 minutes to do this, okay? So you do the first question. Let's take a look at the first question. It'll be a long free response question. And this is kind of different than what we normally do. So what we normally do is I'll give you a question and you derive stuff and all these things. You're not going to have that for this test. It's more of a explain, or create a lab or something like that. And the reason for that is because they don't want you to copy somebody else's answer. If I just ask you to derive something, you could just call somebody and be like, hey, how do you do this derivation? Just copy it. Whereas if you have to explain stuff, it's a little bit more subjective and everybody's answer is going to be different than everybody else's. So just keep that in mind. And they told us to look at this example, and I wrote it right here for you. So this is the first type of question that you'll see. They don't have one in APC for this, so we got it from AP1. If you look at it, let me see, I'll look at it with you. We can see that all these questions are asking us to explain. So there isn't much derivation here. There is a little bit of derivation, but not too much. Really, what it's asking you is if you understand this thing conceptually, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, in this example right here, they don't care about what the momentum before is, momentum after is. What they care about is give a description of its motion and why does it behave this way after a collision and before the collision. And you can talk about concepts we learned in angular momentum to talk about it. For example, this first question, it says, suppose a rod is much more massive than the disk. To give the rod much more angular speed as possible, should the student make the disk hit the rod at the left of C, at C, or to the right of C? And so we're not going to write down, well, torque is equal to this and it's this distance away. Rather, what we would say is that the further you are from the axis of rotation, the greater the torque you generate. And if you can generate a lot of torque, then you get a larger angular acceleration. And if you have a larger angular acceleration, you will get a greater spinning speed or angular speed. So that's what they're looking for. They're not asking for torque is equal to I alpha and all that stuff. But what you could say is that torque is proportional to alpha. And what does that mean? And it's the same thing for these types of questions here. You can go through them. The solution is at the end of this. So I'm not going to waste your time reading off the answers for these questions. The second type of question I've talked about as well during the review session, which is a lab-based question where you have to create a lab and then describe how you would find the inertia of something or the energy, or you're trying to prove that conservation of angular momentum is conserved. How would you do that? And again, there is no single right answer for this. There's multiple ways to design a lab where you can prove something. And so just think about like the different chapters that we've gone through and the concepts that we've learned. And we've actually done this throughout the school year where I don't really tell you, I say, okay, make this lab and then try to show me something. Of course, I work it with you over the course of the 2 periods, but really it was supposed to be you and your group designing something and then trying to prove something. And so that's all this is about. And there's something extra special where it's just the error analysis that you have to do as well. Why didn't it come out to the theory or the theoretical value that you thought it would be? So just keep that in mind. And the other thing is you can't use human error as a justification. Do not do it. Do not write, oh, it's because of human error or something like that. Don't do it. Okay? And so these are the 2 types of questions that you're going to see on both the mechanics and the E&M. So for E&M, it might be, we want to figure out what the electric field between 2 plates is. Design an experiment that you could determine the electric field, or using a charge or something. And I think I gave a question this week where you had a little pith ball that moves at an angle like this. So go back and look at it. That's that. So those are the 2 types of questions that you're going to see on both the mechanics and the E&M, okay? What else do we need to know here? So this gives you the description of what I just told you. You will be responsible to know how to do chapters. Let me repeat that. So you're going to be responsible to know for mechanics units 1 through 5, which is kinematics all the way to angular momentum. So gravitation is not going to be on the exam, and simple harmonic oscillation, simple harmonic period. So like physical pendulums won't be on the test either. For E&M, it's everything that we've talked about. The only thing I haven't talked about is magnetism. So chapters 4 and 5, or units 4 and 5, are going to be magnetism and LC circuits. So you're not going to be responsible for knowing that. But you do need to know Coulomb's law, Gauss's law, electric potential, capacitance, RC circuits, Kirchhoff's law, charging by induction, conduction, all that stuff is fair game. So that's that. All right. So now that we've talked about those 2 questions, you'll have 30 minutes for the first question, 5 minutes to submit the answer. So it's really 25 minutes, and 15 minutes to submit the second question, and 5 minutes to submit it. So 25 and 15, and for each question, 5 minutes additional to submit. So how are you going to submit it? Well, the first thing is you can take the test. I don't know if you've been told this, but you can take it as on a desktop, a laptop, or your tablet, or your cell phone, your smartphone. You can take it however you want. I would say do it on a big screen. Don't do it on something small, but that's just my opinion. And also because it's kind of hard to type, I don't know, maybe you're better than I am. I wouldn't want to text my solution that way. How can you submit it? You can submit it by writing it on like Word or any sort of text file system. And then you can save it and then attach it as a text file, so like a Word document or a PDF. The other way you could do it is you can type it on Microsoft Word or Google Docs, copy all of it, and then paste it as a text format. So that's the other way you can submit it. And the last way you could do it is you can actually handwrite your solution and then take a photo of it and then send that photo as an attached file. Okay, so those are all the different ways you can do it. Now, just to remember, if you are going to handwrite it, make sure you put your ID, your AP ID, and your initials at the top of the page. And on the other corner of the page, put the number down of the page. So if you're working on this question and then there takes more than one page to do it, number them and upload them by the number. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. So just keep that in mind. Is there anything else? I think that's it. So you can go through all of these right here, and the solutions are right there of what they're looking for as well. At 6 o'clock, I'll be available to answer any additional questions. And finally, for this week, there isn't going to be any real live streams. I'm just going to be on Google Meets all week at 12 o'clock. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can ask me. And I'll upload the videos that are on YouTube from College Board, so you can go through those as well. Oh, and there is like practice exams for College Board, for the AP exams on YouTube, and they start at 11. So what I'll do is I'll upload or I'll send a link to you on Google Classroom with those as well. So you can do like mock test all week. So I think there's one every day. So I'll do that all from May 4th all the way to May 7th or however long it is. So you can do those mock tests and see how well you do on them as well. And then afterwards, we can have a conversation about them. Okay, so that's it for everything. When the AP exam is finished, we're going to start mechanics, and there'll be like a little small project that goes with it. Don't know which way I'm looking, but hopefully you can at least hear me pretty well today because I got this new mic and it's super sweet. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you when I see you. Adios.